Welcome back to ZE Coins. If you are a coin collector or just someone curious about the hidden treasures in your spare change, you are going to love this video today. We are diving deep into the top 7 most valuable Abraham Lincoln pennies that are worth a fortune in today's market. Yes, you heard that right. Some of these ordinary-looking coins have sold for thousands and even millions of dollars. We're diving deep into the fascinating story behind the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny. You might think this humble copper coin is just spare change. But some of these pennies are worth a surprising amount of money in today's collector's market. So stick around because you could be holding on to a tiny treasure in your coin jar without even realizing it. First, let's go back in time. The year was 1978. Jimmy Carter was President of the United States. The world was watching as NASA launched its Pioneer Venus missions. Meanwhile, in the world of coins, the United States Mint was busy producing millions of Lincoln cents. These pennies carried the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse or front, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design had been in use since 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. On the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial still stood proudly, a design created by Frank Gasparo and introduced in 1959.by 1978. The penny was still being struck from 95% copper and 5% zinc. That's important, because it was the last full year the coin was made entirely from this copper alloy. In 1982, the composition changed to a copper-plated zinc to reduce minting costs. So if you've got a 1978 penny, you're holding a piece of pure copper coinage history. Now you might be wondering, with over 5 billion 1978 Lincoln cents minted, why would any of them be valuable today? The answer lies in condition, mint mark, and rare errors. Let's break it down. First, condition. Coin collectors use a grading scale to determine the quality of a coin. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A standard circulated 1978 penny might only be worth its face value, or slightly more if it's in good shape. But uncirculated examples in mint condition can fetch far higher prices. Coins graded MS65 or above, meaning they have a strong strike and virtually no imperfections, are particularly desirable. Now let's talk mint marks. There are 3 versions of the 1978 penny. One from the Philadelphia Mint, which has no mint mark. One from the Denver Mint, marked with a small d under the year. And one from the San Francisco Mint, which was issued only as a proof coin and bears an S mark. While the Philadelphia and Denver versions are common, the San Francisco proof coins are scarcer and were never meant for circulation. If you come across one of these in your change, you've found something unusual. But the real money comes in when we consider minting errors. Some 1978 pennies have double dies, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets. A double die coin happens when the coin is struck by a die that was improperly made, resulting in visible doubling of the date or lettering. Off-center coins are the result of misaligned strikes, and clipped planchets are coins that were cut from metal sheets with missing parts. These rare errors can sell for hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on severity and demand. So what's the highest a 1978 penny has ever sold for? According to auction records, pristine examples of the 1978 D penny have sold for as much as $5,000, graded MS67 by professional grading services. That's right, a 1-cent coin fetching thousands of dollars. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint have also sold for high prices when in flawless condition with deep cameo contrast. Let's now look at today's market. In 2025, with copper prices higher and coin collecting more popular than ever, the value of high-quality or error 1978 pennies has remained strong. Even common uncirculated coins can bring in $2 to $5. Mint state coins can range from $20 to $50 depending on grade and eye appeal. Proof coins can sell for $30 to $100 or more. And rare errors or top-graded examples can exceed all expectations. To find out what your 1978 penny might be worth, you should first check for a mint mark. Then look at the overall condition. Does it have luster? Sharp details? Next, look for any irregularities or doubling. If you think you've found something rare, consider having it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. Could turn out to be a valuable coin hiding in plain sight. And here's a tip. Many people overlook rolls of pennies inherited from family members or tucked away in drawers. Go through those rolls carefully. You never know what hidden gems may be inside. In conclusion, while most 1978 pennies are worth just a cent or two, the right coin in the right condition with the right features can be worth hundreds or thousands. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Whatever you are, be a good one." And that holds true for coins too. A good 1978 penny could be more than just good. Could be great. We're diving deep into a seemingly ordinary coin that you might just have in your change jar. It's the 1979 Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it looks like any other penny you've seen, but the truth is some of these 1979 pennies can be worth way more than 1 cent. In this video, we're going to explore the history of the 1979 Lincoln penny, look at its design and production, and uncover what makes some of them incredibly valuable on today's market. Let's start with the history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first time a real person's face had appeared on a regular issue American coin. The reverse of the penny originally showed 2 wheat ears, which became known as the wheat penny. That design lasted until 1958. Starting in 1959, to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 50th anniversary of the Lincoln cent, the reverse was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial, which remained until the year 2008. Now zooming in to the year 1979. This year is significant not for any major design change, but rather for the small details that make some coins more valuable than others. The 1979 Lincoln penny was minted in large numbers, with billions of coins struck across 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. That's right, if you look at your 1979 penny and see no mint mark under the date, that means it was minted in Philadelphia. If you see a small letter D, that's for Denver. And if you see an S, that means your coin was minted in San Francisco, and it could be a proof coin. Here's where it gets interesting. The vast majority of 1979 pennies are worth face value 1 cent. But certain conditions and specific errors can drive their value up dramatically. First, let's talk about the condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect uncirculated coin. If your 1979 penny is in pristine condition with full original red color and no signs of wear, it might be graded MS 65 or higher. These high-grade examples can sell for anywhere from a few dollars to over $20 depending on market demand and collector interest. Now let's get into the real money error coins. Certain mint errors from 1979 are highly sought after by collectors. One of the most famous is the double die error, where the coin's design appears doubled, especially in the lettering or date. A 1979 penny with a dramatic double die can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars if it's in good condition. Another error to watch for is an off-center strike, where the design is not properly aligned with the coin's shape. These off-center pennies are highly collectible, especially if a significant portion of the design is missing. A coin with 50% off-center and a full visible date can sell for a high premium. And then there's the famous floating roof error. On some 1979 pennies, the roof of the Lincoln Memorial appears detached or floating above the rest of the structure. This happens due to a worn die, and while it's not technically a mint error, many collectors still seek out these coins. Another variation includes filled mint marks, where a small blob of metal obscures the mint mark, making it difficult to see whether it's A, D, or S. These small oddities make each coin unique and can increase its value. Now let's talk about proof coins. If you find a 1979 penny with a mirror-like surface and an S mint mark, you might be holding a proof coin. These were specially made for collectors and not intended for general circulation. While common proof pennies from 1979 usually sell for a few dollars, ultra-high-grade examples with perfect contrast and no blemishes can fetch significantly more. So what is the current market value of the 1979 Lincoln penny? For most circulated examples, the value remains at 1 cent. But for rare error coins or high-grade specimens, values can range from $5 to over $1,000 depending on rarity and collector demand. For example, in recent years, a 1979 double die penny in near-perfect condition has sold at auction for over $1,500. Meanwhile, even basic high-grade uncirculated pennies regularly sell for between $10 and $30 on coin marketplaces. If you want to check the value of your penny, the first step is to look at the condition. Is it worn and scratched, or still shiny with a full red luster. Then check for mint marks and any unusual features like doubling, off-center strikes, or missing details. If you suspect you have an error coin or high-grade example, it's a good idea to consult a professional coin grading service or reputable dealer. They can give you an expert opinion and possibly help you get your coin certified, which increases its value and makes it easier to sell. And don't forget, coin collecting isn't just about money, it's about history. Holding a 1979 Lincoln penny is like holding a little piece of America's story. Whether it's worth 1 cent or $1,000, it's a connection to the past and a hobby that brings people together. So next time you get change from the store, take a closer look. That humble penny might just be a hidden treasure. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1980 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. You might have one in your pocket change or tucked away in a jar somewhere. But what if I told you that a simple 1980 penny could be worth a lot more than 1 cent? Yes, that's right. That small copper coin with the image of Abraham Lincoln might just be the treasure you didn't know you had. But before we talk about how much it's worth today, let's take a journey back in time to explore the rich history behind this iconic coin. First, let's talk about the man himself. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, has been honored on the penny since 1909. That year marked the 100th anniversary of his birth, and it was the first time a real person ever appeared on a United States coin. Before, Lincoln coins featured symbolic representations like liberty or eagles, but not real individuals. The 1980 Lincoln cent carries forward that tradition with Lincoln's familiar profile facing right, his gaze steady, his expression thoughtful. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the portrait has remained largely unchanged since its introduction. On the front of the coin you see the words, "In God We Trust," at the top, liberty to the left, and the year 1980 to the right of Lincoln. Now here's where it gets interesting. In 1980, pennies were still made primarily of copper. In fact, each coin from that year is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This is important because just a few years later, in 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned to mostly zinc coins due to rising copper prices. That means your 1980 penny is heavier, more valuable in metal content, and rarer, in pristine condition. Over 7 billion Lincoln cents were minted in 1980 across different U.S. mint facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can tell where your coin was minted by checking for the small letter under the date. No letter means it was made in Philadelphia, a small d means Denver, and an S indicates San Francisco. Now let's talk value. Most 1980 pennies in circulated condition are still worth just about 1 cent. But that's not the full story. Some rare variations and coins in exceptional condition can be worth significantly more. For example, a 1980 penny graded mint state 67 red by a professional grading service can sell for over $100 at auction. Even higher grades or unique errors can fetch much more. Speaking of errors, collectors absolutely love mint errors. A 1980 penny with a double die, a misstrike, or an off-center image can skyrocket in value. Some of these error coins have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their rarity and condition. Here are a few examples of what collectors look for. A double die obverse, which means Lincoln's profile or the lettering is doubled. An off-center strike, where part of the image is missing because the coin was not centered properly when struck. A clipped planchet, where a small part of the coin's edge is missing, creating a crescent shape. All of these can turn a common penny into a serious payday. So how do you know if your 1980 penny is valuable? Start by looking closely at the coin under good lighting. If it looks shiny, fresh, and free of major scratches, or where you may have a high-grade specimen. Next, check the details. Are there any strange marks? Do the letters look like they've been printed twice? Is the design off-center? These clues could mean you have a rare error coin. You might also want to weigh your penny. A genuine copper 1980 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it weighs significantly less, it might be a counterfeit or a post-1982 zinc penny mistakenly struck with the wrong date. Either way, that's worth investigating further. Now, let's bring things up to the present. As of this year, collectors and investors are still buying and selling 1980 Lincoln cents online and at coin shows. On platforms like eBay, high-grade and error coins are regularly listed for anywhere from a few dollars to several hundred, depending on the coin's features. Remember, not every penny from 1980 is a jackpot, but taking the time to inspect your change can pay off. Coins are little pieces of history, and the 1980 Lincoln cent is no exception. Whether it's worth 1 cent or $100, it's a connection to the past and a testament to the legacy of one of America's greatest leaders. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting and uncovering a small copper coin that might just be hiding a big fortune. That's right, we're talking about the 1982 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin. At first glance, it might look like any ordinary penny in your pocket or change jar. But believe it or not, some of these coins are worth thousands of dollars today. So grab your magnifying glass, stay tuned, and let's find out what makes the 1982 Lincoln penny so special. Before we jump into values and rarity, let's start with a little history. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909, introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first regular-issue American coin to feature a real person and not a symbol like liberty. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent became one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. Fast forward to 1982. It was a year of change for the penny, quite literally. Due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint decided to switch the composition of the penny from 95% copper to a new planchet made of 97.5% zinc coated with a thin layer of copper. This move saved the Mint millions of dollars, but it also created a unique situation. For 1 year only, pennies were struck using both compositions. That means in 1982, there were both copper and zinc Lincoln cents released into circulation. But that's not all. To complicate things further, the Mint also had two different styles of date numerals in 1982, large date and small date. So in total, there were 7 distinct varieties of the 1982 Lincoln penny produced. 4 were minted in Philadelphia without a mint mark, and 3 came from the Denver Mint with a small d under the date. Let's go over the 7 varieties, so you can understand what to look for. Number 1, 1982 large date copper. Number 2, 1982 small date copper. Number 3, 1982 large date zinc. Number 4, 1982 small date zinc. Number 5, 1982D large date copper. Number 6, 1982D large date zinc. And finally number 7, the rarest and most sought after, the 1982D small date copper. Now, let's talk about why that last one is so valuable. When the Denver Mint transitioned to the new zinc composition, they were only supposed to produce small date cents in the new zinc planchets. However, a very small number of small date coins were accidentally struck on leftover copper planchets. Only a few authentic examples have ever been confirmed, making them incredibly rare. Collectors around the world consider the 1982D small date copper penny one of the holy grails of modern coin collecting. In fact, in recent auctions, this variety has fetched over $10,000 depending on the condition and whether it was certified by a professional grading service. So how do you tell if you have a valuable 1982 penny in your collection or pocket change? First, determine the composition. A copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams. A zinc penny weighs just 2.5 grams. You'll need a precise digital scale to tell the difference. If your penny weighs around 3.11 grams and has a small date with a Denver Mint mark, you might be holding a treasure. Second, you need to examine the date style. The difference between small date and large date can be subtle, especially to the untrained eye. On small date coins, the number 2 in 1982 has a slightly higher inner curve. The 8 looks more even and less bulging compared to the large date version. There are detailed guides and images online that can help you make the distinction, or you can take your coins to a professional numismatist for evaluation. Now let's talk about current market value. Common 1982 pennies, both copper and zinc, are still worth face value if they're in circulated condition. However, uncirculated examples can be worth a few cents to a couple of dollars depending on the variety and grade. High-grade copper large date pennies can fetch between $5 and $20. Small date copper pennies go for a bit more, especially if they are in brilliant uncirculated condition. Zinc varieties are generally less desirable among collectors, but they can still bring a small premium if they are in pristine condition. The real star, of course, is the 1982D small date copper penny. As mentioned earlier, these rare coins have sold for over $10,000 at auction. Even lower grade examples could be worth hundreds or even thousands if authenticated. If you think you might have one of these rare pennies, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin reduces its value drastically. Instead, handle it gently, place it in a coin flip or protective holder, and consider submitting it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Beyond the financial aspect, the 1982 Lincoln penny is a fascinating coin because it represents a pivotal moment in modern coinage. It's a coin of transition, one that captures the shift from one metal to another, and from one era to the next. It teaches us that even in our everyday pocket change, there can be mysteries and stories worth discovering, so the next time you come across a 1982 penny, take a moment to check it. Look at the date. Weigh the coin. Study the details. Who knows, you just might be holding a piece of history worth a small fortune. We are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern coins ever minted in the United States, the 1992 Lincoln 1-cent penny. You might think a penny is just a penny, but some versions of the 1992 Lincoln cent are worth thousands of dollars today. So how did this happen, and what makes a simple 1-cent coin so valuable? Let's find out. First, let's take a quick look at the history of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's face. Over the years, the design has undergone several changes, but Lincoln's portrait has remained a consistent feature on the obverse or front of the coin at IN 1959. To commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint replaced the wheat ears reverse design with the Lincoln Memorial. This design remained until 2008. In 1992, something unusual happened during this time of transition and routine minting. Now here is where things get interesting. There are two major types of 1992 pennies that collectors seek after. The regular 1992 penny, which is quite common, and the rare 1992 close AM variety. But what does close AM mean? The term close AM refers to the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse side of the coin. On most pennies from this era, there is a noticeable gap between the A and the M. However, on the 1992 close AM variety, the two letters are almost touching. This might sound like a tiny detail, but it makes a huge difference in value. This error happened because the mint accidentally used a reverse die intended for the 1993 cents on a small number of 1,992 coins. The close AM design was not meant to be introduced until 1993. Somehow, a few of those reverse dies were used in 1992 and resulted in a small batch of coins with the wrong spacing. That makes these coins an accidental rarity. So how rare are they really? Only a few dozen examples of the 1992 close AM penny have ever been found, and they are incredibly valuable to collectors. If you happen to find one of these in your pocket change or coin jar, you could be holding on to a mini fortune. Let's talk money. How much is a 1992 close AM penny worth today? It depends on the condition. In circulated condition, even a worn 1992 close AM penny can be worth hundreds of dollars. But in uncirculated or mint state condition, prices can soar. Some examples have sold for over $12,000 at auction. Yes, that is right, over $12,000 for a single penny. There is also a lesser-known 1992 D-close AM variety, minted in Denver. It is even rarer than the Philadelphia Mint version. Only a couple of confirmed examples exist. If you find one of those, you are looking at potentially tens of thousands of dollars in value depending on condition and demand. Now let's break down how to check your 1992 pennies. First, flip the coin over and look at the word America. Focus on the A and the M. If there is a clear gap, you have a standard issue penny. But if the A and M are nearly touching or very close together, you might have a rare close AM variety. Use a magnifying glass or a coin loop to inspect the letters closely. Lighting also helps bring out the details. It is worth taking your time because that little detail can make a massive difference in value. And where can you sell a 1992 close AM penny if you find one? Reputable coin dealers, major auction houses, and online coin marketplaces like Heritage Auctions or Great Collections are great places to start. You can also get your coin graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. This adds credibility and can increase your coin's final selling price. But before you rush off to sell, consider this. These coins are part of a fascinating moment in minting history. A little mistake made over 30 years ago led to one of the most valuable pennies in circulation. Whether you sell it or keep it as a collector's piece, the story behind your 1992 close AM penny is part of what makes it so special. So the next time you go through your spare change or clean out a jar full of pennies, keep an eye out for the 1992 close AM Lincoln cent. You might just stumble upon a hidden gem that's worth far more than 1 cent. Did you know a single penny in your pocket could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? It might look ordinary, small, coppery, and forgettable, but if it's a 1995 Lincoln 1-cent coin, you might want to take a closer look. Because this humble penny has a secret. Some of them are incredibly rare, and collectors are hunting for them right now. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1995 Abraham Lincoln penny, exploring its origins, its hidden value, and how you could strike gold with a coin most people would walk right past on the street. Let's go back to 1995. Bill Clinton was president. The internet was just beginning to shape the world, and the US Mint was still producing billions of coins every year for circulation. The 1-cent coin, commonly called the penny, featured the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. His bust had appeared on the coin since 1909 to mark his 100th birthday. By 1995, the Lincoln penny had already gone through several changes, from its wheat reverse design to the Lincoln Memorial introduced in 1959. What made the 1995 penny special, however, wasn't what most people expected. On the surface, it looked just like any other. But in truth, 1995 was a pivotal year in US coinage, and a perfect storm for error coins. Here's where things get exciting. In 1995, a number of pennies were struck with a rare minting error known as a double die obverse. What that means is that during the minting process, the die, the stamp that presses the design onto the blank coin, had shifted or misaligned slightly between impressions. As a result, the letters and numbers on the front of the coin appear doubled. This isn't a scratch. It's not damage. It's not wear and tear. It's an actual error from the US Mint itself. The most noticeable doubling can be seen in the word liberty and in the motto, "In God We Trust." It's subtle to the untrained eye, but once you spot it, you can't unsee it. And that's what makes it incredibly valuable. Collectors go wild for mint errors like the 1995 double die penny. Why? Because they're rare. Because they come from the official mint. And because most people don't even realize they have one. This is not a homemade mistake. It's not post-mint damage. This is a genuine government minting error, and that's what drives the price up. Only a relatively small number of these error pennies were released, and many ended up in circulation. That means millions of Americans unknowingly handled, spent, or saved these special coins without realizing what they had. So what's the value of a 1995 Lincoln penny today? Let's break it down. A regular 1995 penny without errors is only worth its face value, 1 cent. But a 1995 double die penny can be worth anywhere from $20 to over $1,000, depending on its condition. Coins that are in mint state, meaning they've never been circulated and are in pristine condition, are worth the most. For example, a 1995 double die penny graded MS 67 by PCGS or NGC has sold for over $1,500 at auction. Even circulated versions in decent condition can fetch $50 to $100 if the doubling is clear and visible. So how do you know what your coin is worth? You'll need to look at its grade, its clarity, and whether the doubling is genuine. Serious collectors often get their coins authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS, NGC, or ANAX. Here's what to look for. First, examine the date. Make sure it's 1995. Then, look closely at the words "In God We Trust" across the top of the coin. Do the letters appear slightly shadowed or doubled? Look at Liberty on the left side. Is there ghosting or doubling on the letters? Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to get a closer look. Smartphone macro lenses also work great. If you see clean doubling on the obverse, that's the front, you may have found something special. Many people get excited over coins with damage that looks like doubling, but it's not. These are often caused by machine doubling or post-mint damage. Machine doubling usually results in flat, shelf-like letters, not the rounded doubling seen on true double die coins. If you're unsure, get your coin evaluated by a trusted coin dealer or a grading service. The 1995 Lincoln penny has become iconic among modern U.S. coin collectors. It's affordable enough for beginners to start searching for, but rare enough to make the hunt worthwhile. It brings excitement, mystery, and real value to coin collecting. For some collectors, finding this penny is like finding buried treasure in plain sight. Plus, because it was made in the 1990s, an era that's growing in nostalgic value, The interest in these coins is only increasing. That if you believe you found a valuable 1995 double die penny, you have a few options. You can sell it at auction. You can list it on marketplaces like eBay, but be sure to show clear, zoomed-in photos of the doubling. Or take it to a coin show or local dealer and see what offers you get. Remember, certified coins almost always sell for more, so the next time you empty your pockets or go through your change jar, don't ignore that little penny from 1995. Could be the most valuable coin you own. In a world where a single cent can sometimes be worth over $1,000, it pays to look closer. We are diving deep into a coin that might just be sitting unnoticed in your change jar. We are talking about the 2000 Lincoln Pennies, the 1-cent coin minted in the year 2000 at the Denver Mint. This might seem like an ordinary coin, but stay tuned because some of these are worth way more than face value. We will explore its fascinating history, what to look for in terms of rare varieties and errors, and what these coins are selling for today in the current coin market. So make sure you watch to the very end because you do not want to miss the secret behind spotting a valuable one. History of the 2000 Lincoln Penny. The Lincoln Penny has a long and rich history starting back in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first time a real person's face appeared on a circulating American coin. Fast forward to the year 2000, the Lincoln Memorial design was still going strong. The reverse side of the coin featured the famous Lincoln Memorial, which had been in use since 1959. That year, the Denver Mint struck millions of these coins. In fact, over 8 billion 2000 pennies were minted, so naturally most people think they are extremely common and not valuable at all. But here is where things get interesting. Despite the massive mintage, there are some special varieties and errors that make certain 2000 Lincoln pennies very collectible, and yes, some are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Design details. The obverse or front of the coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. It was designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's head is the motto "In God We Trust." To the left is the word liberty, and to the right is the date 2000 followed by a small D mint mark. That D stands for Denver. Flip the coin over, and you will see the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparo. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. Common and rare varieties. Now let's get into the juicy details. The standard 2000 penny is only worth 1 cent in circulated condition, but collectors are after rare varieties and errors. Here are some key ones to look out for. First up is the double die. Although no major double die errors are officially recognized for the 2000 Lincoln Penny, some minor doubling can exist, especially around the lettering or date. Keep a close eye on liberty or the words "In God We Trust" using a magnifier. Next are off-center strikes. If your 2000 penny has a significant portion of the design missing or misaligned, it could be an off-center strike. The more off-center it is while still showing the full date and mint mark, the more valuable it becomes. These can sell for $10, $20, or even over $50 depending on the percentage of the off-center strike. There is the broad strike error. If the coin looks wider or has no rim, it may have been struck without the retaining collar. These are less common but can fetch around $15 to $30 depending on the condition. Another rare error is the die clash. This occurs when the dies strike each other without a coin between them, leaving faint design impressions on the wrong side of the coin. If you see ghostly outlines where they should not be, that might be a die clash. Collectors pay a premium for strong clash marks. Condition matters. Grading your coin. Let's talk about condition. Coin collectors use a grading scale from poor to mint state. Most 2000 pennies in circulation are worn, but if you find one that is shiny with no scratches or dings, you might have a high-grade. Example coins graded MS65 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC can be worth $10 to $50. And if your penny scores MS67 or better, the value can jump to over $100 market value today. So, how much are people paying for these coins? Let's look at recent sales and market data. A regular 2000 penny in circulated condition is worth only face value, but an MS67 red example sold for over $200 at auction. Even MS66 red coins often sell for $30 to $60. Error coins like off-center strikes and broad strikes are selling for $25 to $100 depending on how dramatic the error is, and rare finds with doubling or die clashes can bring in even more. Tips for finding valuable pennies. Want to find one of these hidden gems? Here are a few quick tips. Always check your change, especially rolls from the bank. Use a magnifying glass or loupe to check for doubling or tiny mint errors. Learn to recognize what a normal penny looks like so errors stand out more. Easily store your coins in a cool, dry place and use soft holders to prevent damage. And if you think you have a valuable coin, consider sending it to a professional grading service. Conclusion. So there you have it. The 2000 Lincoln Penny may look like any other coin, but with the right variety or error, it could be worth a lot of money. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting with a special focus on the Abraham Lincoln 2011 1-cent penny. This coin may look ordinary at first glance, but there is a lot to uncover about its history, its significance, and why it is worth a lot of money in the current market. So if you are a coin enthusiast or simply curious about what makes this penny so valuable, stick around and let's explore everything you need to know. First, let's start with a bit of history. Abraham Lincoln has been featured on the United States 1-cent coin since 1909, marking the centennial of his birth. The Lincoln penny was the first U.S. coin to bear the image of a real person instead of the traditional allegorical figures. This marked a new era in American coinage and helped to honor one of the nation's most revered presidents. Abraham Lincoln served as the 16th president of the United States during one of its most challenging times, the Civil War. His leadership helped preserve the Union, and his legacy continues to be celebrated in many ways, including through the penny. Now fast forward to 2011. The Lincoln penny from this year belongs to what coin collectors call the Lincoln Memorial Series, which was minted from 1959 to 2008. But in 2010, the design changed to the Union Shield on the reverse side. The 2011 penny features Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse or front side and the Union Shield design on the reverse. The shield symbolizes President Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single country. Despite being a fairly recent coin, you might wonder why the 2011 penny can be valuable at all. After all, millions were minted and pennies are generally common, right? This is where the story gets interesting. While the face value of the penny is 1 cent, some specific variations or conditions of the 2011 penny can make it highly sought after by collectors and investors. One important factor affecting value is rarity. Any coin that has an unusual minting error, a limited production run, or a unique feature can become highly collectible. For example, some 2011 pennies might have minting errors such as double dies, where the design appears doubled, or off-centered strikes where the image is not perfectly aligned. These kinds of errors are rare and can drastically increase the penny's value depending on the severity and condition of the coin. Condition is another critical element in determining value. Coins are graded on a scale, with pristine, uncirculated coins fetching the highest prices. Collectors look for coins with no wear, scratches, or discoloration, which means the penny must be carefully preserved from circulation damage. This is why many collectors keep their coins in special holders or protective cases. The current market value of the 2011 Lincoln penny can vary widely depending on these factors. Common circulated pennies are usually worth only their face value, but rare error coins or uncirculated specimens can sell for anywhere from a few dollars to hundreds or even more at auctions and coin shows. This makes collecting pennies an exciting hobby and a potential investment opportunity. Additionally, the metal content of pennies has changed over the years, which can also influence value. The 2011 pennies are primarily made of zinc with a thin copper plating since 1982, which makes them less valuable for their metal content compared to older solid copper pennies. However, their numismatic value or collector value can still be significant depending on their rarity and condition. If you happen to find a 2011 penny that looks different or shows signs of an error, it's a good idea to get it appraised by a professional coin dealer or numismatist. They can provide an expert opinion and help you understand its true market worth. You can also check online auction sites or coin collecting forums to see recent sales of similar coins for a general idea of pricing. In summary, while the average 2011 Lincoln penny is common and worth just 1 cent, some specific coins from that year can be valuable collectibles due to mint errors, rarity, or exceptional condition. Collectors prize these coins, and their value can be much higher than their face value in today's market. So if you have a collection of pennies or find one, while cleaning your change, it's definitely worth taking a closer look, especially at the 2011 Lincoln penny. Thank you for watching and joining us on this detailed journey into the history and value of the Abraham Lincoln 2011 1-cent penny. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating coin stories and valuable collecting tips. If you have any questions or want to share your own coin collecting experiences, please leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your coins bring you great value and joy.